Hey YouTube, KTChamberlain here again. Now I know I originally intended to upload the top 11 catchiest anime theme songs, but it was blocked worldwide, so I'll have to set up a blip account to upload that and my other videos. So I figured to make up for that, I'd do a bonus countdown. Now this was inspired by Ultimate UK FFF fans' top 10 list on worst anime characters to be stuck on an island with. So I figured I'd do one, but one step beyond. This is the top 11 worst anime characters to be stuck on an island with. Mind you, some of these characters on this list I like and others I hate, but this is of course opinion based, but feel free to have yours. Number 11. Silent and emotionless characters. Okay, I'm cheating a bit on two counts here, but really I agree with Jack when he talks about how awkward things would be the first few weeks or so, and you don't know how long you're going to be stranded on that island for, and you could use some conversation to make things a bit easier. But if you're stuck with characters like Sesshomaru or Haji, it just makes things more uncomfortable and awkward. Haji barely talks, and Sesshomaru seems like he wouldn't want you to talk to him at all, or he'll cut you to ribbons. Hell, Daria Morgendorffer would make for better conversation. Now don't get me wrong, I like characters like Sesshomaru and Haji. I mean, hell, Haji doesn't even need to eat or sleep. But to be stuck on an island with them for God knows how long, I'd probably end up with cabin fever.
I got cabin fever! I've got it too!
Number 10. Light Yagami from Death Note. Now before you flip out, bear with me. I would never in a million years want to be stranded on an island with a psychotic serial killer who has a death note. I mean, the guy is nuts. He wouldn't be of much help to begin with, and he would just complain about the troubles of the world and complain that he's not doing his regular thing about it. However, the reason why he's not higher up on this list is because I can always take that death note of his and use it for kindling. Sure, he'll die after 13 days of not killing someone with it, but hey, one less pain in the ass to deal with. Number 9. Yajirobe from Dragon Ball Z. Yajirobe may be comic relief, but he's a fumbling, bumbling idiot. And knowing him, he might eat all the food you've worked so hard to find in one sitting. That and his constant moaning and complaining, not to mention his cowardice, would make things go from bad to intolerable. I mean, yeah, he may have cut off Vegeta's tail and bought Gohan time for him to transform, but his occasional heroism is brief, not something you can depend on. But I put Yajirobe low on this list because he does at least try from time to time, and hey, if he pisses me off, I could always kick his fat ass to work off some frustration, and then he might try harder, though he'd still moan and complain. Number 8. Jushiro Ukitake from Bleach. I know a Soul Reaper and a Captain at that is highly unlikely to be stuck on an island with, but Jushiro Ukitake is one you would not want to be stranded with. Now the problem with Ukitake is that he was born with a lung ailment, and that's how it turned his hair white, and has occasional sick spells, which happen on an almost regular basis. That aside, he would be helpful, and he's a skilled fighter, but his sick spells would come out of nowhere and blindside his helping in the situation. Now I know it's not his fault and that he can't do anything about it, but it would just be another burden on your shoulders, especially if you have no medical knowledge, let alone any knowledge on medicine for that matter, when you've got someone coughing up blood. Sure, you don't have to save him, but he's such a nice guy and any decent person would try to help him in that situation, despite the odds. Number 7. Kagura Soma and Toru Honda from Fruits Basket. I honestly couldn't decide which, so I picked both. Kagura's like Miss Piggy on steroids and her emotions are unpredictable. Not to mention the fact that I'm a lot like Kyo and she might treat me with abuse no different than she would Kyo. I'm sorry, I don't want to be stuck with someone who can kick my ass like a rag doll out of affection. Now with Toru, yeah, she's helpful and useful. I mean, hey, she started out living in a tent before living with Shigure and the boys. But her biggest flaw is that she really stresses and overexerts herself. She's gotten fevers more than once by pushing herself too hard. And that being said, would cause more problems than solving. I'd have to tell her at least 5 times not to push herself too hard, and even then she'd still ignore my advice. Also, she's not very strong, though that's to be expected. Also, her constant talk to a picture of her deceased mother is something that would really annoy the crap out of me. Toru, a horse could work itself to death, but a mule knows when to stop. Mules are actually smart, contrary to popular belief. Number 6. Ayu Tsukimiya from Canon. She's like Mikuru Asahina from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Like Mikuru, Ayu's a coward and a crybaby. I mean, she's afraid of just about everything. I mean, seriously, how many times has she run away out of fear from a taiyaki vendor who yelled at a cat thinking it was directed at her? Not to mention her constantly saying Ugu would annoy the crap out of me, and it would make me want to shoot her. She's incapable of doing any basic work you'd have to do to survive. Ukitake would at least try to help despite his lung ailment cropping up here and there, but Ayu, it's embarrassing if you can make the Cowardly Lion realize that he's got more courage and usefulness than you before reaching the Emerald City. Ayu, go see the Wizard of Oz in the Emerald City and ask him for some courage. And on your way, here's the last line for your fitting song. You'd be mean, you'd be quick, or kick a ball, or climb a ladder if you only had the nerve. Number 5. Shinji Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Speaking from a psychological standpoint, what's worse than being stuck on an island with a whiny emo bitch? How about being stuck with one who'd rather wallow in his self-pity than go out and save the lives of countless others when he's aware they're in danger? I mean, I know he has issues with his father, Gendo, but that's no excuse to even consider not doing anything useful. Look, Shinji, I know you have problems with your dad, but at least your dad gives you an opportunity to be a hero. My dad scarred me for life, and on top of that, tried to have me arrested just because I stood up to him. However, I wouldn't let that get in the way of my survival. Hell, I only bring it up based on context. If Shinji would rather wallow in self-pity than save the lives of others, you can bet he wouldn't do a damn thing on this island if I was stuck with him. I'd have to go kick his ass to get him to do something useful. Good lord, Shinji, and you wonder why you're one of the most hated anime characters in existence. Number 4. Shiraha from Oshite Remade. This girl may be from a hentai and knows a thing or two about sex. Don't ask me how I know these things. But here are the reasons why you wouldn't want to be stuck on an island with her. 1. She's deadly. 2. She'd likely force herself on you and get herself knocked up since there wouldn't be any contraceptives, and then you'd have another burden on the way. And 3. She goes batshit insane over insects, let alone a ladybug, something that's supposed to be lucky. She'd go through rounds of ammunition over a harmless bug. Now picture you with her on an island which would have plenty of insects. You'd likely get caught in the crossfire and get killed, either way. I'd like to, I don't know, survive! I mean, would it kill her to use a fly swatter or a rolled up newspaper instead of a frickin' machine gun? Jesus Christ. Number 3. Lin Yao from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. An overly obnoxious mooch is one of the worst people to be stuck on an island with, and Lin Yao is the worst of the worst. Like I said, his shit-eating grin makes me want to shoot him at point-blank range. For a prince, he sure is a cheapskate, mooch, and an asshole, not to mention how many times he collapses and he'd expect you to carry his lazy ass. Poor Edward. He had the huge misfortune of being stuck with him in Gluttony's stomach and had to drag his sorry ass. Also, I'd grow sick and tired of him talking about looking for immortality to be the emperor and all that bullshit. And considering him, he'd go off looking for trouble thinking it'll lead him to immortality instead of helping. There are 2 types of people I can't stand. A mooch and an asshole, and Lin Yao is both. I'd go Kratos on his ass and rip his head off in the same way, with my bare hands. Number 2. Dokoro, from Bludgeoning Angel Dokoro-chan. As I said in my top 11 hated anime shows, who'd want to live with this bitch? Now in this countdown, it's who'd want to be stuck on an island with this bitch? She makes it easy for you to see her naked, and being on an island would make it all the more easy for one to be naked. And then she'd freak out and take her spiked metal club and clean your head right off, and then revive you. Just repeat the whole damn process over and over again. This would make being stuck with her on an island a living hell. But I still stand by what I said last time. Dokoro is not an angel. And the number 1 worst anime character to be stuck on an island with is Diana Kuraha Shiratori from Eden of the East. Kuraha is scary. She's an actual angel, and her trademark is she captures men she deems unfit and cuts off their penis to let them die, just for sport. Sadly, I am not making this up. In the show, she's known as the Johnny Hunter and has a record of 20,000 victims. With these other people on this countdown, I'd at least know what to expect from them, but with Kuraha, I honestly don't know what she'd do if I was stuck on an island with her. She's a sadist and a temptress. On top of that, she's really mysterious. I feel like I'd have to sleep with one eye open and keep my distance with her at all times. She'd probably pick her moment out of boredom, and when I least expect it, have me bound to a tree, toy with me like a James Bond villain, and then do the unspeakable to me. My very manhood would be at stake. If I was stuck on an island with her, I'd rather take my chances out there on the ocean than to stay there and die in one of the worst ways possible. So those are the top 11 worst anime characters to be stuck on an island with. I hope you enjoyed this countdown. Thanks for watching.